welcome back to another episode of 25 Drive Live. Today we have another amazing guest. His name is Kirk Chugg, and he is the director or the founder of the Gentleman Project.
That's correct.
That's correct. And not only that, but he's an entrepreneur, much like myself, and he is the owner of the Haberdasher.
Haberdasher Custom Clothing.
Haberdasher Custom Clothing. And he does, as you can tell by this cool suit that he's wearing, he does very, very great work. So we're going to talk to him about a number of things today. And he's going to tell you a little bit about his passion with the Gentleman Project, and also a little bit about his company and what he does. So first of all, welcome. Nice to have you on the show.
Thanks, Alex.
All right. And I do appreciate you taking your time. I know you're super busy. And so tell me about, I want to break down what the Gentleman Project is about, because you're everywhere. I mean, I see you, you're in different states, you're on TV. You were on TV this morning, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the Gentleman Project.
Well, we're doing a big PR push right now because we've got a big event coming up. So actually, the Gentleman Project was something that started in the Chugg household. I work with men exclusively, and we just make men's clothing. And so, I think your kids want to know, what did you do that took you away from me all day long? So I've got twin sons and then two daughters on either side of those twin boys. And one day Bennett asked me, "Dad, what did you do today?" And I answered with, I helped a gentleman buy a suit. I had lunch with one of my gentleman clients, and I used the language gentleman. And I was taught what a gentleman was growing up. I had good parents, and they did a good job teaching that to me. But I had failed to teach my son what that was, because he said, "Dad, what's a gentleman?" And granted, he was 5, almost 6, so we hadn't really gotten into deep-level conversations at that point. But I realized, as an entrepreneur, building a brand new book of business and really working my tail off, and traveling quite a bit, that if I didn't change what I was doing with my kids, that I would get a kid who didn't know his dad very well. And just the question of, "Dad, what's a gentleman?" made me realize that's my job. Like, my job first and foremost is to teach my kids how to be good people, value-creating, productive members of society. And it's always nice when those people have good manners and act like ladies and gentlemen. So that was really my eye-opening point, was laying in bed thinking, I don't have that relationship with my kid right now. And they're just getting my leftovers. They're getting the table scraps of my time. And I'd come home and I'd try to connect with them as much as I could, but in the end, it was, real shallow conversations, and I wasn't communicating with them the things of life that I find important. So what we started to do was, I just sat them down and I said, I did it with my sons first, and I said, "I'm going to teach you guys how to be gentlemen." And I said, "We're going to have to do some things together. We're going to have to spend some more time together. But I'm going to make you listen to Dad a little bit about what he thinks a gentleman is." And both of them were like so on board. It was like, "Okay, Dad." And every night I'd go into their room.
Was it because you were letting them into your world, and they wanted to like really be part of that you didn't recognize?
I think a little bit of is that, but what I found was two things. One was, I spent all day with gentlemen, and they wanted my time.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought, if I'm a gentleman, I get some of Dad's time.
Wow.
In conversations with them, much later I realized that was part of the magic. The other part of the magic was, I created a very short, very understandable, very repeatable vision for these kids of, where do I want to be? Do I want to get better? Or am I okay with where I am? Am I okay with mediocrity? Or do I want to be the best that society has to offer?
Mm-hmm.
And um, so just creating that vision was the magic of the Gentleman Project, which is what my sons named it. Every night I'd go in and they'd be sitting on the edge of their bed waiting for me to talk to them about life.
Wow.
And we would have something hung on the wall and kind of like a whiteboard.
Mm-hmm.
And it would say, it was a picture of them framed, and it would say, a gentleman, ... And then the bottom of it would be blank, and I'd use it like a chalkboard. And I'd just take a dry erase marker, and I would write, a gentleman shows respect to women and children. And then we'd spend the next, however long it took, for them to demonstrate that they knew what that principle meant. And then we have these really cool leather-bound books that we write in. And when we did an activity, like when I saw them open their mom's door on the way to church, or we did a service project together at the food bank or something that backed up the lesson, I had to be a little bit more conscious of what I did with my kids, because we had to do the project that backed up what I was teaching at home. They get to write in these books. And in their little chicken scratch handwriting, just like barely being able to read and write, they were copying letter for letter what was on that board. And they were so proud that was like a merit badge for them, that they got to write in this special book. And then on the opposite page, I write a letter to them. And if it's about honesty or integrity or hard work, service, whatever it might be, I write them a letter of, this is why I taught you this. Sometimes I tell them where I learned it from. Kind of create a generational thing. Like,
Well,
my dad taught me this.
Now, let me ask you this, because I think it's really important. You said your parents raised you very well. They taught you how to be a gentleman, what it was all about. Can you remember back when you were a child, any particular moments that really shined, that you remember, that you will probably remember for the rest of your life? Something that your father or another man in your life had shared with you?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to have male mentors in my life, my dad included, and I had great grandfathers that spent time with me. So I have a lot of those. Keeping your cool was one. After you wrecked Dad's GT Mustang, and it only has 3 wheels, you can fly off the handlebar. But my dad chose to keep us cool and watch what he said, and he had the opportunity right then to be extremely upset at me, and he chose to look at the big picture, and things are replaceable. You're okay. All of those things. I mean, lots of things like that echo when I'm trying to raise my sons. I used to be a real strict disciplinarian. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the dad, you do it my way or the highway.
Right.
And you just need to learn to live with that. And what the Gentleman Project did was it gave me the background of, if they spoke disrespectful to their mother, instead of yelling at them for doing so, I would say, remind me again how a gentleman speaks to his mom. And they would self-correct and say, oh, I'm sorry. And because I had taught them that a gentleman apologizes, then I would say, what would a gentleman do in this situation? And then they would go apologize to their mom. And Karen started to catch on to this, my wife, and she's like, whatever you're doing with these boys is working. Keep doing this. I remember the first time we were sitting at the dinner table, and we, the night before, we had talked about showing appreciation. And one of my sons looked across the table at my wife, and he said, Mom, thank you so much for this beautiful meal. I appreciate you making it. And she looked like with tears in her eyes across the table at me, and she's like, this is working. And it was kind of neat to see that. And we've done a lot of other projects since then, but that was the impetus. That was the genesis of the Gentleman Project. I had the perfect clientele to be able to take that out and have it be a focus group. I work with very successful people. A lot of them are entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to connect with my clients. And so I'd say, what do you do to connect with your kids? And I would either get a guy who would give me a great idea that I'd want to take home,
Right.
and start using that with my kids, or I'd get a guy who would break down in tears in front of me, executive, that would say, you know what, I've got everything figured out here at work, but when I go home, I'm disconnected. Excuse me, I'm disconnected with my kids. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like they're growing up too fast, and I've got no influence on who they're becoming because they're almost grown.
Right.
And they'd say, why? What do you do? And I shared what I did with my kids, and a lot of guys started to do it. So I made those leather-bound journals, and I gave a lot of those away. And they'd come back and they'd say, this is the coolest thing I've ever done with my kids. They won't go to bed at night until I tell them what a gentleman does.
Wow.
And it started to, I thought maybe we were like this family anomaly, like, just the right family dynamics, that we had 2 boys and 2 girls and just the right ages and just the right temperaments. But it wasn't just an anomaly. It was, all dads had to do was sit their kids down and say, I want to spend more time with you. I want to be the best dad that I can be. It's my biggest, most important job.
Mm-hmm.
Will you spend the time with me so that I can teach you the things you'll need to know to be successful? Be a gentleman. Be a lady. And what kid's going to tell their dad no when they do that?
So, based on the other gentlemen that you have been talking to, some of them maybe gave you cool tips of what they do, and like you said, you incorporated in what you're doing. But like the other ones that said, "Gosh, I'm missing a lot here." Just like you even said, "I'm missing a lot because I'm a disciplinarian, or I used to be, but then I started looking at things differently." In your eyes, tell me, look through your kids' eyes before this whole thing started, and of what they were wanting from you, and tell me, if you can, what they were wanting, the yearning to be with their father, and to have those moments, and then how you came around to, what, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here, and these kids are a lot smarter and are a lot more aware than I'm given credit for.
Well, you kind of said it. When I was having these profound conversations with my kids about, like, we're having conversations about wealth inequality with the 6-year-old, and it's kind of the buzzword, but it was his question, right? And he says, we just spent the day at the food bank giving away Thanksgiving dinner. And we were learning that a gentleman searches for opportunities to serve other people. And he came home and he said, Dad, if we have all the money and those people don't have any, is it bad to be rich?
Wow, that's pretty deep.
And I'm going, this is a deep conversation to have with a 6-year-old, but it gave me the opportunity to open those windows. So yes, he wanted my attention, number one, and my time. But I think kids are a lot smarter than we give them credit for, and they can talk about things and they can understand things as long as they have the framework in which to talk about it. That they feel like it's a safe place.
Okay.
That they can talk about. Did I just say safe place?
Yeah, you did.
Well, I think it's good that they have a place where they can ask questions and not feel stupid about the answer. Like, is it bad to have money?
But not only that, but expecting an answer rather than go away, I'm busy, right? Yeah. So I think that's part of what you're saying as far as what the safe place is that my dad's approachable. I can go and ask him a question. First of all, he's not going to make me feel dumb if this question's weird or whatever. Right. But also that he's not going to shoo me away because he's in the middle of something else. So yeah, I get it.
And I struggle with that because I have a home office and I have a 5-year-old, and she wants to sit on my lap while I'm trying to work. And I totally get that. But when they get enough of your time and attention that they feel like they are a meaningful part of your day, not just a remnant of, I'm home now, what do you want to do? when you've got time that they know they're going to have your undivided attention at the end of the day, or if they know that they can grab you at that age, all I'm interested in right now with my young kids is developing habits. Because I tell them a habit is just the way you do things, and you can have good ones or bad ones. And if you develop good habits while you're young, it'll be easy the rest of your life to make good decisions because you'll already have that moral compass and everything's set.
Kind of like second nature.
Right. And then it won't be hard to make the decisions of, do I take the easy way out or do I take the way that's going to be, going to bless the most lives?
Right.
And I feel like that's where I am with the Gentleman Project. Is like, I don't feel like I have time to start a nonprofit, but those gentlemen that I worked with that put their arm around me and said, "This helped me in my life.
Mm-hmm.
This helped you in your life. How are we going to tell the most amount of people about this? How are we going to inspire dads to be better fathers without making them feel guilty about the job they are doing?"
Right.
That's our mission, is to inspire fathers to create simple visions for them and their kids, to have relationships that last so that the next generation is better than we are. And so that's really what we're trying to do. We don't tell you what to teach your kid about what a gentleman is. We've got ideas, but your idea of what a gentleman is may be completely different. And don't get lost on the term gentleman. That's the original term my sons gave it. Everybody's got their own Gentleman Project. Right. And you might have done something with your kids that helped you connect with your kids, but guess what? There's no venue, there's no place where men can feel comfortable talking about, man, I'm slipping as a dad. Like, my son came home high the other night and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, help me out, guys. So we're starting local chapters, and we're looking for interested, involved men who are passionate about fatherhood that would gather a group of friends in their boardroom, meet at the library, meet at a restaurant, and once a month and say, here were my successes last month. Here were my failures. This was my problem last month, and this is what I did about it. Didn't work. Or did work.
So what do you, you're going to have men thinking about this because, as I mentioned, Kurt has been all over the place. He's introduced it. We have been members of Corporate Alliance together. That's how I was introduced to the Gentleman Project, and I was fascinated by it. One of the things I was going to tell you, my Gentleman Project with my grandson, who's 11 years old, we call it The Quest. So mine has got a different name, same concept, same everything, but for me to be able to have a relationship with him on a whole different level to where, like you said, he's comfortable asking me certain things. He doesn't shy away from anything when he wants to talk about it, and we talk about it. Sometimes I get nervous because it's like, you don't have all the answers, and most, a lot of men out there, they're expected to have all the answers, and some of them don't, and some of them try to fake it through, some of them try to ignore it, some of them, try to do the best that they can. But when you have these projects like the Gentleman Project coming, there is resources, there's things that you could do. There are people that are men that are like-minded that can come together and talk about those things without being embarrassed. Just like you said, your son was not embarrassed and felt kind of safe in that spot to do that. So to be able to meet with like-minded men that are going, because we all have struggles and we all have failures and we all have successes, all those kinds of good things. But when you can come to a group that they're all looking at things through the same filter, so to speak, it's a little bit easier, to bring up certain things like you're struggling. If you said something, I don't know how to handle certain things. For example, you said, if my son came home high, what do I do? How do I handle it? Do I yell at him? Do I call the cops? And, how do you do that? And there's so many knee-jerk reactions sometimes if you don't have the tools to build those relationships and those trust relationships. And I know that when I have conversations with my grandson, it's really cool because we go to, just like you said, I mean, everything is just there. It's like you go to these deeper levels that, I feel good about, even though I don't have the answer sometimes. I don't try to pretend like I know the answer. I say, you know what? I need to find out a little bit more about this because I don't know. I don't know. And I try to be honest with him. So what you guys are doing is amazing. And I've seen it mushroom. This gentleman project's mushrooming, and I don't know if it's the same project as yours, but I've seen stuff on YouTube that they're calling the gentleman project in California and different states. Are you aware of that?
I've seen a couple of things, kind of where they bring in kids and they give them haircuts and teach them manners and things like that. Yeah. And so, I mean, same name, probably a little bit different vision of, because we kind of approach it from the fatherhood side.
Mm-hmm.
We're first and foremost a fatherhood organization that inspires fathers, but the secondary effect of having good fathers teaching good values is that you're going to have kids that learn those things. So yeah, we're in the process right now of trademarking everything, and so we're quite a ways down that road.
Okay.
We launched last June. We have an amazing, I mean, when I say amazing, I mean incredible advisory board. We have 39 people on the advisory board from all walks of life and like the top of the top in their industry, from all over the country, who came into Park City last year to help with the overall strategic vision of the Gentleman Project. And our big goal was to have a major event by Father's Day 2016. And nothing like a deadline to motivate, right? So
that's right. So let's talk about this major event that you just referred to. Give us some insight on what's happening.
So we are having an event this Friday, June 17th, at the Vivint Smart Home Arena, formerly known as the Delta Center, and we or the Energy Solutions Arena,
or the home of the Jazz,
but an incredible world-class venue. And we've tried to make this an evening that a kid would never forget with his dad or his male mentor. So we've got we have Alex. It's a great name.
That is a good name. I like that name.
We have Alex Austin, who played 16 years in the pros, 2 in the NBA, who runs A-Train for Youth in Salt Lake City. And does an incredible job teaching kids not only basketball, but life skills. He's going to be in charge of running our drills on the court of the Utah Jazz.
Now, how did he get involved in this project?
Goodness attracts goodness, I guess.
Okay.
And this is the type of guy that he is. He came up to a golf tournament that we did in Park City and immediately liked the idea, and we've stayed connected. And
excellent.
So he's going to come in and run the drills for us. So you'll have a former pro basketball star running drills with you and your kid on the floor of the Utah Jazz. And what's cool about this is he's bringing his varsity kids for service hours from his program to volunteer and help us run the drills.
Wow, that's excellent. So dads out there, if you're going to attend this event, which I think you have to attend this event, just remember, he's a pro, but don't forget the kid, okay?
This isn't a place for egos. You're going to have to do fun stuff, like the bounce pass competition is going to be between your legs, but we're gonna be watching for dads having a great time with their kids. So that's number one, is you're going to get to play on the court of the Utah Jazz. This is a small and intimate event.
Well, that's huge, though. Being able to play on the court where the Jazz play.
Yeah, and the number of people that we're going to have there, it's going to feel like you're there alone. Like, it's a pretty intimate setting for that big of a venue. We're not filling the arena. This is get your tickets because there's only a limited number of them. We're going to have Rob Schallenberger, who is the CEO of Becoming Your Best, Global Leadership, travels the world teaching major corporations the principles of establishing vision. So it's right down our alley. Rob's on our board of directors, and he's going to be the main speaker. Probably take the most time, but we're not going to bore you with speaking. He's got great multimedia presentations and incredible. He used to be an Air Force One fighter pilot.
Wow.
And he's there in his flight suit telling his story of developing a vision as a kid that led him to be part of the Air Force One flight team. And that was his dream, which he accomplished. So, and then we're going to have Lance Allred there. He was the first deaf NBA player, played right here at Weber State. An incredible guy and an amazing story, personal story of his value of being a father.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have the inspiring music of Gentry, the Gentleman Trio. Gentry is short for Gentleman Trio. Those three guys are living models of seeing a vision and going out and just getting it done. These guys are classically trained, beautiful, soaring voices. The three of them together would inspire anybody. And they're going to sing a couple of numbers for us.
Is this like an a cappella trio, or
they'll have the track they compose.
Okay.
They compose and write their own music. Steven does a fantastic job. Like they've got their own writer, and they're a local. If you haven't heard of Gentry, Gentri, you got to look them up.
Yeah, look these guys up on YouTube.
They're on YouTube. Yeah, okay. They've got amazing music videos, and they tour. And they're going to be there with us that night. They're going to sing a couple of numbers. And then we've got the real Rudy Rudiger. So if you're talking like, if you feel inadequate about being a dad, watch the movie Rudy with your kids and tell
Great movie.
I mean,
great movie.
There's a lot of talking points in that movie about not giving up, staying true to your vision. And Rudy is a great guy. So that night you're going to have the opportunity, if you've had a good time with your kid, you may get a Rudy Award over dinner. Rudy's going to kind of cap everything off for us.
Wait a minute. And, you guys are having dinner too?
We're having dinner too. We're going to have dinner in the VIP lounge of the arena.
I've been there. It's nice.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Very, very nice.
Very kid-friendly meal. Hamburgers, hot dogs, watermelons, chips, lemonade, cookies. Kids are going to like it. And the cost is $25.
$25 for. Wait a minute. Okay, I want to recap. You're having it at the Vivint Center, right? You're going to be on the jazz, like the floor, playing and doing what
drills.
Drills. Okay. You're going to meet some famous people. You're going to play with the next NBA player, right? And
two of them.
Two of them. And you're get to meet Rudy.
Yep.
And there's a presentation, a multimedia presentation from a worldwide person that works with corporations and so forth. And you get meals and everything else, and it's $25.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify.
That's it. So we're not raising money. We're spending money so that we can create an environment for these kids to have a night with their dads Friday before Father's Day that they will never forget, and the dads won't either. But it's going to be really cool, and so we want to fill it to the capacity that we can, while still keeping it intimate. And we've still got some tickets, believe it or not. Like, go get your tickets.
So how do we get our tickets?
So you can find the Gentleman Project on Facebook.
Okay.
And there's links all over. It's being shared like crazy. And that's our Eventbrite site. And you just go to Eventbrite and print off your tickets. You can go to thegentlemanproject.org. That's MEN. Gentlemanproject.org. And just go to events, and that'll take you to the Eventbrite site. And that's where you get your tickets. And you just print them off right there and show up at the door with them. And you are a VIP the rest of the night.
That's excellent. And how long is the whole program lasting?
So it's going to start about 6:30, and it's going to go till 9:30. Dinner will be on the tail end of the night, so your kids can run around and get real hungry, and then we'll have them up, and we'll have a nice dinner and a little bit of entertainment, and then Rudy will put a bow on everything, and he's a great speaker as well.
So you did mention that you want the fathers and sons to have a night that they'll never forget. You know, what are some other takeaways that you think that they will experience here that they'll take away with them?
I think the biggest one for the kids is that they know that their dads or their male mentors really care for them, that they love them, that they do things that our lives, we don't do a good job sometimes of telling our kids, everything I do, I'm doing for you. And the kids don't realize that. We need to let them know that they are important. And that's all a kid wants to know. So on a special night like this, if you can walk away and your kid feels important to you, we won. If you can walk away inspired to be a more effective dad who is a father by design instead of by default,
wow,
then we've won twice.
That is a great point. You know, and I'm inspired by this, and my kids are grown. but I'm really inspired by what you're doing, and I think I would love to encourage you guys, fathers that are out there, even thinking about it, maybe even hesitating. You know what? Just go out there and check out, and get a ticket, and if nothing else, you will have a great time. But I think I think some really special things are gonna happen at this event, and so I just want to encourage you guys to check it out, because I'm sure, you know, I know, knowing Kirk, he puts a lot of thought and a lot of work into everything that he does, and so this, and based on the people that are involved, I mean, I'm impressed that you know these guys. You know, that's pretty cool. You know, so is there anything else on the Gentleman Project that you want to drive home, that you want to leave, you know, thoughts with?
I just want dads to realize that it's okay to be in a place like I was 3 years ago. It's okay. Like, you're trying, you're doing your best. Little tiny changes make a huge difference. And the last thing you want to do is regret not taking time enough with your kids. And they grow up so fast, and they count on you for so much more than just providing for them. They want your time and attention and compassion, and it's not as hard as it sounds. We don't put any more minutes in the day for you to talk to your kid. We just want to help you talk to your kid about the things that matter. And if we've done that, we've always said our goal is, if we change the life of one kid, just one, we've won.
That's right. I agree. And you can see the passion that he brings, and this is all real. I've talked to him several times, and he is very passionate about this. But that's what we need. This society needs that now more than ever, in my opinion. You know, we need that. We need to watch over our kids, and we need to give them the best opportunities in life that we can possibly give. And sometimes life gets in the way, and sometimes we get busy, and those kinds of things happen. But you can always pull back, and you can always say, okay, if I just make this one little correction down the road a piece, it's a whole different picture. Yeah. You know, and so I really am impressed with what you're doing, and I want you to know that I support this project.
Exactly.
And if I can help you in any way, I would love to help, because it's that important, you know. And so with that in mind, you guys, one thing I want to touch with as we end this interview is, you know, he has been an entrepreneur for how many years now?
I started my company 4 years ago.
Okay, so why did you go from whoever you worked for before to becoming an entrepreneur? How did that whole thing happen?
I'll step on my entrepreneur soapbox for just a second. I think a lot of times when we start our own business, we do whatever it takes to make a dollar, to make a sale. And we end up letting our business run our lives instead of us running our business. And it's difficult to stop that train once you've started it moving. So when I got into business for myself, I took all the things that I liked about this business and I brought them with me. I took everything I didn't like about it and I did the exact opposite. And that created my business model. And if you look at my business model, it was done over time. I pivoted a couple of times, but it was done by design. And as my business grows, everything goes back to that vision. And my vision, my why, is I need to be available and accessible to my family, especially while they're young. And if that business decision doesn't coincide with that vision of being there for my kids, then I don't do it. And I'm proud to say that after 4 years, I have a business that I run. And I love what I do. It gives me the time that I want and that I need with my kids while they're young. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs start things and do whatever it takes to be successful, and they realize that they didn't think about all the things it takes to be successful to run a business like that. And they do it by default instead of by design, which is the same thing we're talking about in the Gentleman Project.
Right.
If you design what you want to be as an entrepreneur, you start with your lifestyle in mind. If that's the most important, which it was for me, then you try to make everything that you do go back to that vision. And if it fits, then you do it. If it doesn't, you don't.
Yeah, I agree. And with my restaurant, I work with my kids.
Yeah, that's cool.
And we've been doing it. We're getting ready. This month will be our 11th year anniversary. Yeah, and so because I used to own an internet company, and I work a lot now, but I worked and I wasn't really. I don't want to say I wasn't close with them but I didn't have the time, because you get busy doing all those things that you just mentioned. But selling that company and starting and building this restaurant and working with them, I tell you, it is the greatest thrill of my life because I get to see my grandson grow up. I see him every single day. I see my kids every day. I get to see, and here's the other blessing and the cool part about too, is that I get to see that my kids have good business sense.
Yeah.
They know how to make really good decisions, and I watch this and I'm in awe. I just wow, they're so hardworking. They're not afraid to roll up their sleeves, get in there, and get it done. And you can ask any of my customers at Roe Valley's. I talk about them all the time. I talk about my kids, and so this really influences me of what you're doing and what young kids need, and the role of fathers. The important role of fathers in today's families. And so kudos to you, and I wish you all the best success. I really, really do, and with a great board, to help guide you and to give you advice and to be able to overcome those hurdles and different things as you go along. I hope that this thing is worldwide. I hope that you get to that point where you're influencing so many dads and so many with their relationships with their kids. Will be amazing.
Thank you. Those are well wishes, and we gladly accept them and hope they come true as well. This isn't a local thing. We want this to influence as many people as possible.
Well, you're setting up the foundation the right way, though. It's not something that's going to crumble. You're building a nice, solid foundation, good, solid people, believing in what you're doing, and all of it is, like you said, this event that you're having on Friday, it's not to make money. That's not your point at all. No. It is putting fathers and sons together and seeing what happens.
And fathers and daughters, too.
Yeah.
Daughters
are invited. Okay,
yes,
okay, that's good to know. That's really good to know. So, Dad, if you have daughters instead of sons, bring them.
Bring them.
Yeah, because I know I have 2 daughters, and they can shoot hoops with the best of them. Okay, so bring your daughters, bring your sons, but get the tickets because you don't want to miss out on something like this because it really is important. And $25, that's not too bad.
Ask for Father's Day.
There you go. Father's Day present. That's great.
If your wife is like on the fence and bugging you about what you want for Father's Day, say, I want to go make a memory with my kids that they'll never forget.
I want that instead of the tie, right?
Yeah. I love ties.
Yeah, and you're a tie guy.
I usually am, not today, but yeah, this is going to be worth a lot down the road. Your kids will talk about this the rest of their lives.
So just remind our viewers one more time the Facebook page and how they can contact to get tickets.
So you can do a search for you can do a search for the Gentleman Project or Facebook.com/Generations of Gentlemen. That's the Facebook page, or you can find us at the gentlemanproject.org and under events.
Okay. And like I said, I will have those links down below, so make sure you check it out. And it's going to be a great event, so we want you to get your tickets and take your kids down there and have some fun and make some memories. Kirk, thank you again for helping us. We really appreciate you, and good luck in everything that you're doing.
Well, we appreciate you as well. On behalf of the board of the Gentleman Project and my family and everybody involved, we appreciate the chance to talk about it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Okay, guys, we will see you next week with another exciting guest. I don't know, it's going to be hard to top this one here. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.